Hey everyone, hello. So today, we're going to talk about something that rarely gets addressed honestly in spiritual spaces. How trauma can block spiritual awakening, not because a person is weak or unready, but because the nervous system and the psyche are locked into survival. Spiritual awakening is not just about insight, meditation, or higher knowledge. It requires safety, embodiment, and presence. And trauma, especially unresolved trauma, directly interferes with all three. At its core, trauma forces the psyche into survival mode. When a traumatic event overwhelms the nervous system, the body does exactly what it is designed to do. It prioritizes safety over expansion. The mind becomes hyper-vigilant. The body stays on alert, and awareness becomes trapped in the past, constantly scanning for threat. This creates a fundamental problem for spiritual awakening. Awakening requires openness, surrender, and the ability to rest in the present moment. Trauma demands control, defense, and constant vigilance. These two states cannot coexist. One of the most common effects of trauma is energetic fragmentation. During overwhelming experiences, part of the psyche and what many traditions would call the soul or subtle body partially withdraw from the body to survive the pain. This shows up as emotional numbness, disassociation, feeling disconnected from the body, and the inability to feel joy, intuition, or the spiritual spark. People often say, I know spiritually that something is real, but I can't feel it. That's not a lack of spirituality. That's trauma protecting the system from further overload. When sensitivity once meant danger, the body shuts it down entirely, including spiritual sensitivity. Trauma locks unconsciousness into the lower brain centers: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. In this state, the nervous system is focused on threat. The mind loops past events. The future feels dangerous, and the present moment feels unsafe. Spiritual awareness, however, arises from stillness, curiosity, trust, and expansion beyond the ego. A survival-based consciousness cannot access higher awareness because it is biologically and energetically constrained. This is why some people meditate for years and feel nothing. Their system is not resisting awakening, it is protecting itself. Trauma is not just psychological. It is stored in the body. Unprocessed emotions don't disappear. They lodge themselves in muscles, organs, fascia, and the nervous system. This creates chronic tension, illness or disease, fatigue, and breath restriction. From an energetic perspective, these blockages interrupt the natural flow of life force, what different traditions would call chi, prana, or kundalini. When energy cannot move freely, spiritual insight may occur without embodiment. Awakening experiences may be destabilizing. The body resists expansion because it feels unsafe. True awakening requires the body to be a willing vessel, not a battleground. Here's the paradox many people don't expect. Trauma can actually strengthen the ego rather than dissolve it. When identity forms around wounds, survival, and pain, the ego becomes a fortress. This is who I am because this is what has happened to me. The wounded identity, sometimes called the lower self, feels safer than the unknown. Spiritual awakenings threaten that identity. It asks for surrender. It asks for dissolution. For a traumatized system, dissolution feels like death. So instead of awakening, the psyche clings tighter to the familiar pain, even if it's miserable, because at least it's known. Another major block is spiritual bypassing. This happens when spirituality is used to avoid trauma rather than heal it. Common signs include everything happens for a reason, used to dismiss pain. Overemphasis on love and light while ignoring anger and grief. Constant seeking of ascension, guides, or higher realms. And avoidance of the body and emotions. Bypassing creates a false awakening, intellectual or mystical experiences without integration. Shadow work, emotional processing, and somatic healing are not distractions from spirituality. They are prerequisites. Additional ways that trauma blocks awakening is loss of trust. Trauma fractures trust in people, in life, and often in the universe itself. Awakening requires trust in existence. Trauma scatters awareness. Presence becomes difficult when attention is constantly pulled into memory loops. Awakening involves letting go. Trauma equates letting go with danger. Trauma isolates. Awakening reconnects. Without healing, connection feels threatening. Here's the paradox. While trauma initially blocks awakening, it can also become its greatest catalyst. Deep suffering cracks illusions. It destroys false identities. It forces questions that comfortable lives never ask. When trauma is processed, not bypassed, it often leads to profound humility, deep compassion, embodied wisdom, and authentic spirituality rooted in reality. Many of the most awakened individuals didn't awaken despite their trauma, but through it. True spiritual awakening is not about escaping pain. It is about meeting it with presence. Healing involves nervous system regulation, somatic awareness, emotional integration, shadow work, and compassion for the wounded self. As trauma resolves, energy naturally reorganizes. Awareness expands without force. Spiritual connections return organically. Awakening is not something you achieve. It's something that emerges when the system feels safe enough to let go. If you feel blocked spiritually, nothing is wrong with you. Your system may simply be asking for healing before transcendence. The path forward is not higher, it's deeper. And often, the doorway to higher consciousness is not found above the body, but within it. So yeah, that's it for today's video. As always, I hope you found it entertaining, enlightening, or in some way beneficial. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with a friend or two. Alright everyone, take care. Peace.